name is Harish Shekhar. I usually go by the name Harry. If, there is a good chance that we would have interacted in the past. If you're walking in for the first time, I sincerely hope and pray that the content is informative. If you've been a part of my talk, welcome back. And be it a thought, comment, feedback, Harry at Manage Engine would give you all the information that you need. And I'm always happy to have a conversation, strike a conversation, solve a problem, either through Manage Engine solutions or point you in the direction with the experience that I have. Been with Manage Engine for about 11 years, and all I do is try solving problems and make sure that the life of an administrator or a security professional or a cloud uh, manager job a lot more easier and fun through our solutions, right? Without further ado, this would be my agenda. I'll be establishing the need for an identity driven consolidated security architecture, fine tuning your SIEM as the best threat detection and response system, security and risk posture management, and enforcing your organization security through CASB, right? So we're in 2023. We're almost drawing curtains to 2023, right? We still spend days thinking about ideas to secure an organization. We spend months working out a plan to secure an organization, and then we spend years awaiting the budget to secure an organization. And then there is that one user, one machine that ruins our name, right? If you deal with IT security, this is our life. We spend days thinking, then formulating, then waiting, and by that time, hope and pray that no one clicks on a specific link, and then the untoward things happen. That is about a breach or an attack, which none of us want. But unfortunately, the truth is we are as good as that computer or that user, right? So it is something that we fight together as an organization. And the attackers, the perpetrators, they're always ahead of us one step. And the philosophy that I follow is together we could learn. So please share your experiences. I'm not asking you to flip out everything, but at least the key point is about what you do, how you go about protecting your infrastructure, if it's firewall, if it's CASB, if it is user session monitoring, to ensure that you cover all angles. And through that education, people can also take some reference. Together we raise, and together is how we learn, right? This is the future, the culture of cybersecurity. This is something I've been doing rounds for the whole year, where if I get your first name and last name, the first thing that I would do is look you up. And if you don't appear in the first 3 to 5 searches, then chances of you not existing is on a high percentage, because everybody is digital these days. Users, organization, everybody needs to be digital for a presence, for a business, for helping customers solve their problem. So, with that being said, there's a digital footprint increase as well. Whereas we talk about your mobile device, which is now your identity. It authorizes you for payments, it entertains you, it holds all of your important information, right? So, the digital footprint is just increasing every day. You don't need to carry a wallet anymore. Your phone could authorize you, could authenticate you, could entertain you, could finance you, could be the next you, right? And then there's a connected ecosystem, not just with your phone, your laptops, mobile devices, your Bluetooth devices, your car, your home network. Everything is so connected. With all this in place, what do users expect? They want to do more with less. Meaning, just give me one username and one password. This is all a user wants. And typically, the password should be password, right? I've done this in many conferences, and every administrator does scratch his or her head saying, how do I solve this problem? So these are the action items that I have for you all in 2023. Vivin did do an amazing job about uh, stressing the fact that zero trust does not happen overnight, and I'm going to second that. It is a process. It is not something that is available in one click, right? So before we get into the other slides that I have in store for you all, please keep your questions coming. We will make sure that we address them either at the end, or a few of our staffs will help you solve these questions right away. Either ways, we will ensure that the slide deck reaches your inbox, and we're always happy to assist you over an email or get on a call, right? So even if we don't respond now, the next few minutes or post my session, I will do it, and we will get in touch over an email, right? And the stats, they don't lie. And I generally quote Microsoft. From where I read, I learn a lot. And of course, I do poke few jokes about them, right? So 20 million devices found to use the world's most strongest password, which is admin, in just 45 days. And Signals is a bi-weekly or a or a monthly digest from Microsoft. The links would give you all the information, but the gold lies in the second point, right? Basic security hygiene still protects against 98% of attacks. That is the most crucial of everything. Basic security hygiene. When we talk about basic security hygiene, I'm going to go after hard-coded applications. I'm going to go after basic security. If you have security auditing in place, if you have Windows auditing in place, if you have system monitoring in place, sysmon auditing, if you look at drivers, if you look at the basic security that comes within a laptop, comes within a network, comes within an organization, are you paying attention to them? And few of you did say you're hybrid, and if you're wondering if security is beefed up in hybrid environment, well, you are wrong. Only 22% of Azure Active Directory identities utilize strong authentication in the form of MFA. The remaining 78% of Azure AD identities requires only a username and password to authenticate, right? So this is where things stand, and it is very, very important that we stay secure. We make sure that we don't trust another service provider, because when we deal with the hybrid environment, we assume that the cloud service provider gives us all the security that you need. That is only 50%. The remaining 50% security lies on you, on premise, completely on you. So the equation just gets slightly difficult. So I want to give you pointers of how easy it is to break an organization. This is a smishing attack. Smishing attack is nothing but touching the endpoints of users through SMS, and that could come with a link, that could come with phone numbers, and it is across the globe. And the perpetrators or attackers have done their homework, and countries which are emotional, they go after specific content. Countries which are very devoted and they look out for few things, they target their campaign accordingly, right? So what is this all about? So Gartner says 98% of people read text messages and 45% of people respond, as opposed to only 6% of people responds to emails, right? I've been practicing security for quite a long time now, and I did get this SMS, right? And the SMS did have a number, so I wanted to go the distance. I called them, and eventually it was all about downloading quick support, and they were bent on saying you could clear all the outstandings, and we would be there till the end to install and make sure that you finish off all your debts. This was the message that I got. And then quick support was all they needed, and they were asking for a code. And by then they realized that I was playing with them, and they didn't pick up the call ever since that, right? So the reason why I took the distance is to educate people, so that people could go ahead and ensure that they don't click, they don't hear anybody, or they don't do unwanted stuff which they think could help them, right? So it's just not only SMS, they wait, and then they start coming after your WhatsApp, or it could be Line, it could be Telegram, etc. How could you make all of this into stats? How could you get all of this information into a SIM? Well, it turns out all of this does have an event ID. Well, it turns out all of it could be triggered together, could be customized, could be correlated, and could also take actions. This is where a SIEM is important. My presentations will always be about problem-based solution. The problems are real, and I sincerely hope that you have answers for the problems. The solutions are from Manage Engine's suite of products, but as Vivian mentioned, feel free to continue using your products. But the point here is how easy can you solve them? And can you go ahead, customize? Can you integrate? Can you make your solutions uh, available and extensible? This is the path Manage Engine is taking. So if you are looking out, Manage Engine does have a SIEM, but the talks will always have problems. So the SMS that comes onto your Android phones, because everything in Android does take you to the internet. That is exactly why it's the easiest bait. So what could happen is you could forward these logs using a log forwarder to a SIEM and see what all I have. Any SMS that comes with a link, I pay attention to it. I do a malicious link analysis. If it's a threat, what I could do is it surfaces back the information, the process IDs, and then it goes after, and it could also write a rule onto the firewall. So if I get an SMS, chances my colleague, my friends, and people at the office will be getting the SMS as well. So in that case, how could I prevent it? If that SMS has a malicious IP or a malicious uh, link or URL, I could block it from my firewall, right? This is exactly how a scene should start taking actions for you, right? This is possible with the advanced threat. We do have some good integrations with a lot of threat service companies to tell you where it stands, what should be neglected from your firewall, how could it be prevented from other people being manipulated. Your SIM should give you stats to take it forward. Passwords in 2023 is also the need of the hour because we'll be talking about zero trust, we're talking about SASE. If we're still not focusing on basics, we would never ever get there. So if your passwords are still a concern, uh, beef it up. Multi-factor could help, could give you the additional time, but the need of the hour is paying attention to everything in your ecosystem, right from the time they log in, how did they log in, process of login, success, failure, in all the steps, username, passwords, multi-factor, how much time they spent within the time, how many number of times they misspelled the name or password or OTPs or MFA, the number of validations that's happened within a specific time, all of it needs to be addressed, right? And this is a 2022 slide. If in 2023, it's all divided by half, right? And I told you MFA could save you from attacks, but the key is if you're not paying attention, even the additional time that you use could be used against you, right? If I could do a password spray attack today, well, it's super simple. I could just sniff, I can just find out weak passwords. Any one of those users, I could just log in. Well, password spray scripts are happening today, but many few people do say it's a thing of the past. So in this case, multi-factor authentication does help, but it just saves time. It just gives you an additional amount of time to fight back. But what in case if they blend in and using a push or a pop-up notification, they abuse your organization? It's all about monitoring, taking actions immediately. That is the way forward to stay protected, right? So this is a multi-factor authentication fatigue attack, and this is happening as we speak as well. So what this does is it targets the Office 365 users. If you have pop push notifications, you get two push notifications or pop-up notifications, and people on Monday morning have fallen prey to this attack. They click and they didn't even realize for a good amount of days. And then the link that I have on my slide deck will take you to the forum where people like you and me communicate. And there are steps to take actions as well in the specific form of security. Demystifying an attack. Well, this is something I did for Black Hat. These are the 5 steps. On the left is what I presented, and on the right is what the competitors, Microsoft, they brought it across. And it's about understanding an attack. How safe are you? How easy it is to break open your organization? Well, I always focus on end users. I focus on endpoints. The simplest is phishing, brute force, password spray attack, credential stuffing. And then from there, once I get access, it could be port scanning. I could install applications, which is again basic security. Still in 2023, most organizations, when I say most across the globe, I'm just doing a summation here, do give full control access on the machine. Well, it turns out that they could install, they could do anything on their own machine. In that case, I could install any EXEs. I could plug in my USB. All of this is part of your basic security. A group policy object gives you options to prevent all of this from happening. I cannot run any EXEs. I don't have full control on the machine. In that case, attackers or insider people go stealth. They do inverse mapping. They go ahead and scan ports with respect to hours or minutes and go unnoticed. Because in traditional security auditing, it's based on time count pattern. When you go ahead and assess time and make sure that enough number of logs are not reached within the time, you never get an anomaly threat. So they wait and they go stealth. And third is domain recon, where they go ahead, understand domain behavior, policies, privileges, resources, and then vulnerabilities and modifying configurations. And then lateral movement, and then comes data exfiltration. So what this does is, at least in 2023, you need to have answers for the first 3 pointers. That is crucial. This is in 2023. Your Active Directory, Azure, your endpoints, all of it needs to be watched. This is mandatory. I'm not getting into lateral movement or data exfiltration. That at least could be from any places in your organization. I'm not even expecting that, but we need answers. I will get to that in just a bit. But at least in 2023, you should have answers for first 3 points on the screen. If you are looking out, then Manage Engine Log 360 can help, or talk to your vendors that you use. Make sure that the first 3 problems that I mentioned are paid attention to. Any changes done to your AD, you need to be having real time change analysis, and it should also mitigate problems if certain things are happening as we speak, like a password spray attack or like a command line interface. If anybody is abusing command prompt, PowerShell, your system should start taking actions. It's just that easy. This is exactly why I repeat, your SIM must be accessible and also be extensible. It should be talking to your entire ecosystem, your ticketing tool, your endpoint. It should be able to talk to your AV. It should be able to talk to your defender, all of it, and then the right rules to your firewall with a SOAR component as well with advanced threat. That is the need of the hour, right? In Event Log Analyzer, which is a SIM module, we do have the MITRE attack, where you get initial access, you get execution, persistence, privilege escalation, defense evasion, credential access, discovery, lateral movement, collection, and command and control, all the way to exfiltration. All the 5 steps explained, delivered just the way it has to be through MITRE attack. On the screen is with date and time, what we have, command line, what process was initiated, and how did we track this. All of this in just a click of few buttons. All right. The second most important thing about PowerShell is it's a part of your ecosystem. You just can't stay away from PowerShell. So this is what I call as living off the land attack. So you got scripts, commands used by users, specific script functions, execution policies, remote PowerShell attempts, version downgrades, third-party attack toolkit. Why am I talking about PowerShell in 2023? Well, Windows binary, it's 41.9% being abused, and then the administrative tools. Look at Everything on the screen, whooping significant percentage. It's a part of every machine. How many of you audit PowerShell command line? Right? Not going to keep asking too many questions, but if if this does resonate with you, start taking actions. By default, PowerShell auditing, command line auditing are not enabled by default. Your security auditing is not enabled. You need to go ahead and enable them and then chisel them down to what based on your exact requirement, right? I've hyperlinked it to a source document where we've written a free collateral about how PowerShell can be weaponized, and of course, solution as well to safeguard your environment. Please take a look, pass it to your team. I'm always happy to assist you with any resources or any clarifications that you might need, right? And of course, disabling PowerShell is a form of a solution, but I could still invoke a DLL file. So in that case, monitoring is the key. Any machine, be it a endpoint, be it a file server, member server, any machine PowerShell is invoked, you should be knowing about the metadata, consequences, who did it from where, and you should be able to start taking actions as well, right? Ransomware is likely to remain the major threat. We're, we're crossing 2023. It's no longer the file creation, unlock, or recreation. It's all re-engineered today. This is Cobalt Strike. This is taking United States by storm. Well, this is a significant amount of organizations that have raised complaints against threat actors, especially for Cobalt Strike. So if you are wondering what Cobalt Strike is, it is a beacon. Yeah, there are named. I'm getting into the actual pointers here, breadcrumbs. So once you get the deck, you can run these in your logging capabilities and see if this has happened. If it is, and if there is a match, then you have been breached with this specific malware attack, right? How do you trace it? You check for named pipe creations. Pipes are essential for operations of Cobalt Strike beacons. And the second step is through Sysmon auditing, one can track the pipe creation. I've given you the line as well. Process creation events, pipe impersonation for system privileges, service control manager logs for services created, Sysmon remote thread logs up and creation of run DLL 32, right? So in this case, PowerShell sessions with the default command line prefix and watch for snippets of commands. Cobalt Strike PowerPick command enables the execution of unmanaged PowerShell. You can hunt for the activity via mismatch in the host and version and engine version as well, right? So let me just quickly move this down so that it is out of your eyesight. And finally, watch for IDS, IPS alerts related to Cobalt Strike. All of this, your SIEM must be taking actions for you immediately. But the point here is not many SIEMs could give you this in one template. So what we did is, how could we get this in our SIEM solution? How could we put this as a template? All of this is on the eye. All the rules that came in the previous slide, what you're seeing now, is on the eye. Your event history will give you near to real-time information, and we have built in a template, or you can build your own template as we speak. And with that, you could start getting alerts. Your phone will be buzzing, and you just don't stop there. I meant accessible and extensible. You could connect this to your Service Desk Plus, Jira, custom applications, and you can even start taking actions with our workbook, where people call it playbook, where with our workflow, you could connect, get to know the problem, solve the problem, and make every system notified and raise an anomaly for this specific attack, right? This is exactly where we have taken our SIEM solution, right? Data lifecycle, it is about whether you are collecting data internally or for your customers, you have to pay attention. Every country now is coming down hard on data security, right from collection to destruction. There is a color combination that's being used, yellow, green, and red. But to me, from 1 to 10, everything is important. Understand data life cycle, data and its risk, who has access over data, and capturing data manipulation. Right? There's a lot that you could get into when we talk about data, right from a work group machine to a Windows machine to a NAS device to a SAN device to cloud. Who has what access to a data? Who is manipulating data? Who is taking it away from your network? All of this needs to be watched. And this is exactly where CASB comes into picture, Cloud Access Security Broker. So here is a use case. People in sales, they trust the Excel sheet, they trust the CRM. So a simple download, who's downloading the file, who is uploading to the cloud, who's printing it, who is manipulating it, who is copy pasting it, who is deleting it. Just a use case. Data is important. That even a backup is a file. So all of this put together comes under data life cycle. So from the time you collect till the time you destruct or destroy the data, how are you handling data? This is a significant part as we speak, and I want you all to pay attention about how to safeguard your data. So at Lock 360, we do have a detailed classification where you can write your own regular expression and compare it to all your data within your organization. And from your classification, we do give you risk score. And then through CASB, which is a firewall on cloud, you spin up a server, you have a CASB server, we monitor that. Any traffic in and out, we would be able to notify you, we would be able to tell you what's happening, and you can even ban shadow apps if there are legitimate URLs, fake URLs like the pro ones, and we would tell you malicious score through advanced threat, and you can write a rule to your firewall, and you can prevent that from being available over your corporate network, right? This is exactly where we are taking. I'll of course give you a small demo in the end, but over to the recommendations and the problems first. Uh, Basic security is again on firewall rules, control panel, system security, Windows Defender firewall. This is something that most of you will be doing day in and day out. So I'm not going to hand walk you into this because this has been around over the years. And that's exactly the point, basic security. So adopt the strategy of least privilege and it forces control over your network traffic, source IP address, destination IP address, destination port, protocol of the traffic. So example, permit TCP any web server 3389 gives any RDP access to the web server, right? So traditionally from passwords to users to Active Directory to Azure to data storage to ransomware attacks, telltale signs of a specific or any form of attack, known, unknown and mysterious attacks, all of this, the fulcrum should be a SIEM to understand, to tell you what has happened in the past, and should also predict what could possibly happen in the future, which is exactly where I am getting to now, which is about reading user behavior. You've got Steve, Noah, John, Rick, all of them play an important part in the ecosystem of your organization, right? In their respective domains. But suddenly they logged into the source code repository late last night and downloaded data. Noah, the administrator, has been doing a lot of downloads at specific time. John from sales, after normal work hours, logged into 10 machines at the same time and installed an application on all of the machines. Rick, the developer, has been accessing the internal payroll database for the last few weeks. So how can you have eyes all over, right? In such difficult times when the economy is not stable across the globe, how are you going to protect your infrastructure? Budgets are being cut. We don't have enough hands and eyes all over. So in that case, your logs do not lie. There are logs. Pump it to a SIEM and it will have eyes all over. That's the need of the hour. We've induced machine learning. It's no longer time count pattern. We've done seasonal, peer to peer, and we've even now looking into all of these combinations together. and we would be raising an anomaly. We will predict risk score, and we will tell you what is happening in your infrastructure, right? So let me quickly go into my demo site here. So this is Log 360. If you've not heard about this, well, this is how our SIEM would look. You can download it. You get a 30-day full-blown professional trial, and you get components as we speak. So I'm going to click on compliance. Let me quickly log in. I'm going to click on compliance. And if you are downloading Log 360 for the first time, it could tell you your vulnerability in 30 minutes with respect to risk posture. Active Directory on the screen. And once you download, with no questions asked, it will tell you how risky, how vulnerable you are. There are patterns that we have positioned: low risk, high on the I. This is for Active Directory, and for SQL Server as well now, right? On the I, it will tell you how strong you are, how vulnerable you are, whether it's a low risk or a high risk on the I, we would tell you. And then from there, you could go into the SIEM component, log me, and you could go ahead and pump in logs from about 600 plus log sources. And it could be Windows infrastructure, manage engine applications, cloud services, databases, web stacks, network devices, Linux, Unix, hypervisors, cloud infrastructures, all of this put together, you could get the information. Our signature change monitoring for your Active Directory, Azure Active Directory is AD audit. It will tell you real time for your Active Directory, and for your Azure Active Directory, it is based on tenant API graph, and you get hybrid logins for user logon reports. You could go ahead and you can find out on a hybrid infrastructure what is he or she doing. It's all on the eye, on the screen, right? And we would be able to tell you everything just the way you need. You've got machine learning, user entity behavior analysis for users, for entities. What did he or she do? What was the risk score? How did we assign this? And all of this was built in house. We've never outsourced, and we're extremely proud of what we have and where we've got so far. Cloud security for hybrid people, this is for you. You've got AWS, Azure, Salesforce, Zoho, Google. You've got answers for all of it. So this is the on-prem segment. We even have the cloud segment of Log 360, right? So let me get into the SIEM portion again. Go into alerts. For accessible and also extensible, see what I am doing. I go edit, and I could make it talk to applications within my existing infrastructure. I'm connecting my ticketing tool and my SIEM. Now it becomes my incident security response system. Any security alerts, it will go ahead and raise anomalies to your ticketing tool. And don't stop there. Click again on alerts, workflow, and you can create your own workflow. Just drag and drop, process, stop process, and you could Windows shut down system, and you can build it. When things happen, the actions also follow immediately, right? For correlation, we've got lots. So the best thing that I would do is just click on ransomware, and you get all the answers on your left, that's the ready-made ones, or you can build your own rules through manage rules on the screen. You could go create your own rules. You've got compliance. We've got off-the-shelf compliance reporting, but if you're looking for something specific, you can create your own compliance, right? So we've got Office 365. If you're dedicatedly looking at M365 for managing, monitoring, all of this is available through Log 360. For management, of course, Vivian did show you about 8360. So you could pick and choose from what you require, right? So that is pretty much all I had. You can reach out to me over email, or you can search Hari Shekhar on LinkedIn.